Okay, here we go. Our daily fuel. We are going through the New Testament in a year. And we're getting there. We're in the book of Acts, chapter 24. And we are on the Apostle Paul's wild evangelism tour. What do we mean? What's going on? Well, chapter 9 of the book of Acts, the Apostle Paul gets saved. And he is the one who, in chapter 7, was there when Stephen was being martyred in the temple. And it said that he was holding the coats of the young men that were stoning him, agreeing that Stephen should die for having faith in Jesus Christ. And it says after that a great persecution broke out against the church in Jerusalem and that the believers were scattered everywhere. And so some of them went to Damascus, they went to Syria. And the Apostle Paul, in his craziness and his fanaticism, he chases these guys to Damascus, and he's on the way to Damascus. And while he's there, he gets converted, has this wild experience, this wild conversion experience. And there's a guy in Damascus that the Lord speaks to. And he says, look, the Apostle Paul is coming. And he said, what I want you to do is to pray for him. He's not the Apostle Paul yet. He's Saul. And he says, what I want you to do is I want you to pray for that guy. And Ananias is like, I don't want to pray for that guy. That guy's persecuting the church. And, there's nothing but trouble. And, he's ready to kill people and jail people, men and women, and bring them back to Jerusalem. And the Lord said, listen, you need to pray for him, and you need to tell him a couple of things. You need to tell him, number one, how much he's going to suffer for my name's sake. Wow, there's something here at your conversion, how much you're going to suffer for his name's sake. The second thing is, you need to tell him that he's going to minister to the Gentiles and the Gentile kings and to the Jewish people. So it'll be to those groups of people. So how is he going to minister to kings? Ministering to Gentiles, that's easy enough. Just going out to the marketplace and minister to Gentiles. But how about the kings? Should he come up with a strategy with that? Put out ads? Who wants to hear the gospel to kings? Well, the Lord is going to arrange it, and he's going to arrange it by him getting arrested. And he did get arrested for his faith. And if he would have been somebody else, if he would have been just your sort of run-of-the-mill Jewish convert, he'd probably be dead by now. But providentially, because the Lord had already set it up, he's a Roman citizen. And as a citizen, he has rights, and he has the right to appeal, and he can appeal all the way up the court, all the way to the Supreme Court, to Caesar. So he's arrested, and all of these governors are like, I don't want to bring charges against this Roman citizen for religious things in Jerusalem. So they're sending him from governor to governor, from ruler to ruler, from regional overseer to regional overseer. So he's going to talk to all these guys. The Lord's going to set it up. And he goes from one to another, and now he goes to another one. Let's read this one. Chapter 24. 5 days later, 5 days after he had just shared his testimony, and now he's being sent to Felix. 5 days later, the high priest Ananias, he went to Caesarea with some of the elders and a lawyer. They're bringing that lawyering up. Tertullus. And they brought their charges against Paul before the governor. These guys are traveling a long way to convict this guy. They want the governor to convict him so that he can kill him. When Paul was called in, Tertullus presented his case before Felix. And he said, we enjoyed a long period of peace under you, Felix. You are something we love, being under you. And your foresight has brought about reforms for this nation, and everywhere and every way. Oh, most excellent Felix, we acknowledge this with profound gratitude. But in order to not weary you any further, I request that you be kind enough to hear us briefly. All right, good enough. We found this man, Paul, to be a troublemaker, stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. He's a ringleader of the Nazarene sect, they sort of, as a cult, a Jewish cult that followed the Nazarene Jesus. He even tried to desecrate the temple, which is not true. A few chapters ago, he did everything in his power. He went beyond, over and above, to make sure that he wasn't going to do anything offensive in the temple. And so he seized him. And by examining him yourself, you'll be able to learn the truth about these charges that we're bringing against him. What are the charges? That he's speaking against the temple? That's about it. He's a ringleader of the Nazarene sect. The other Jews joined in accusing, asserting that these things were true, doubling up on the testimonies against Paul. When the governor motioned for him to speak, Paul replied. And he said, I know you for a number of years you've been a judge over this nation, so I'll gladly make my defense. You can easily verify that no more than 12 days ago, I went up to Jerusalem to worship. I did. I went there to worship. My accusers, these guys here, they didn't find me arguing with anyone at the temple. I wasn't arguing with anyone at the temple. I wasn't stirring up a crowd in the synagogues or anywhere else in the city. I wasn't stirring anything up. And they can't prove to you the charges they're now making against me. However, I admit that I worship the God of our ancestors, would have been the ancestors of the Jews he's talking about, not the Roman ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that I'm a follower of the way, the sect, the cult, which they call a sect. I believe everything in accordance to the law that's written in the prophets. I believe the Old Testament. I believe the whole thing. And I have the same hope in God as these men have, that there'll be a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked. So I strive to keep my conscience clear before God and before men. I got a clear conscience. I haven't done anything wrong before God, not before people. Well, after an absence of several years, I came to Jerusalem to bring my people gifts for the poor and to present offerings, which he did. There's a famine in the land, and he collected money from the churches, brought it to Jerusalem. I was ceremonially clean when they found me in the temple courts doing this. There was no crowd with me, nor was I involved in any disturbance. But there are some Jews from the province of Asia who ought to be here before you to bring charges if they have anything to say against me. Or these who are here should state what crime, not what doctrinal error, but what crime they found in me when I stood before the Sanhedrin. Unless it was this one thing I shouted as I was in their presence. It was concerning the resurrection of the dead that I am on trial before you for today. I believed in the resurrection of the dead, which the Sadducees, of course, did not. Then Felix, who was well acquainted with the way, you wonder how these leaders, these rulers, these politicians, these people in high places, are they acquainted with this stuff? Well, he was. It says he was well acquainted with it. He knew what was going on. He adjourned the proceedings. And when Lysisus, the commander, comes, he said, I'll decide your case. So he said, I'm going to wait, and I'll decide your case later. He ordered the centurion to keep Paul under guard, but to give him some freedom and to permit his friends to take care of his needs. So, lock him up, but, put him under house arrest and let his friends come and visit him. Several days later, Felix comes up with his wife, Drusilla, who's Jewish. Yeah, it gets crazy. He gets to witness before everybody. It is just wild. God set it all up. We call them divine appointments. I had a divine appointment today. Just opened right up, opened up wide. And he sent for Paul, and he listened to him as he spoke about faith in Jesus Christ. As Paul talked about righteousness, self-control, and the judgment to come, Felix was afraid, and he said, that's enough. You can leave. He said, when I find it convenient, I'll send for you. At the same time, he was hoping that Paul would offer him a bribe, so he sent for him frequently and talked with him. So he's talking to Paul a lot. Sorry for the allergies. And so, what little pieces are, is Paul talking about? And he's really hoping that, Paul is give him some bucks so he can just kind of let him go. 2 years passed. He's there for 2 years, having lots of opportunities to witness there in the palace. Caesarea, it's where the kings went for the summer. He's in a resort city, sharing the gospel with all kinds of people. His friends can come and visit him. It's wild. And for 2 years had passed, and Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus. But because Felix had granted a favor to the Jews, he left Paul in prison. So that's where we're going to leave it right there. Paul is in prison, and now he's going to get the opportunity to witness to somebody else. He's been sharing in that great city of Caesarea, that summer palace of the Roman rulers, where everybody's going. There's quite a place. There's chariot races, and there's pools, and there's saunas, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous city. And Paul's there, seemingly able to move about and to share the gospel. So the Lord opens all of this up for him, and now he's going to open up another opportunity to witness. And the Lord will open up an opportunity for you to witness and for me to witness. So let's be his witnesses. Hey, love you guys. Let's keep moving through the book of Acts.